The council meeting on October 20th, 2020 is called to order. How about we have Mr. Eric Onisco do the pledge?
Hey. I pledge of allegiance
to
to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I didn't hear anybody else.
I was saying it.
Yep.
Said it really loud, but I was on mute.
Oh.
All right, Donna, will you please do the roll call?
Yes, I will. What time did we call it to order? 6:08?
6:07 or 8, yeah.
So I'll say 6:07. Okay, roll call. Councilmember Onesco,
Here?
Mayor Dorsey,
Here.
Councilmember Feast. Here. Councilmember McDowell,
Present.
Councilmember Bode,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Peterson,
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt,
Still here.
Thanks, Joe.
thank you.
Does council have any changes to the agenda and or Jeff?
Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council, I do have one late addition, and that will be under Section D, presentations, and we'd like to add item 2 to that for Mr. B. Miller to tell us about our bond refunding experience.
Yay.
All right. At this time, I'd like to remind members that they can make comments during the public comment period as well as the business and action agenda. Option 1, join the Zoom meeting by clicking on the link that is displayed on the city's webpage. The link is listed on the agendas and minutes page under the tab that says more. Option 2, email City Manager Jeff Knighton. And option 3, call Jeff's office phone. Both email address and phone numbers are displayed on the screen of Mason Web TV streaming video. All right. On to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
I move to approve the consent agenda as published.
All right. Do we have a second?
I second it.
All right, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All opposed? No? Okay, motion carries. All right. Donna, do we have anyone interested in making a public comment tonight?
No, Mr. Mayor, we don't have anyone signed up.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a presentation from our Public Works Department Superintendent, Mike Albaugh, and Water Quality Specialist, Ken Dickinson, are going to share information with us about the Cross Connection Program.
Start speaking.
Go ahead, Mike.
Are we there? How are we doing?
Yeah, we're doing good.
Wonderful. Well, I have Ken Dickinson, our water quality specialist here, and I tasked Ken and the water department to put together a cross connection program overview. This was direction from Jay, so we could give basically the public and you all as well an understanding of what a cross connection program actually is. So right now I'm going to turn it over to Ken Dickinson, our water quality specialist, just to go through the PowerPoint with you.
Hi, my name's Ken Dickinson. Been with the city for 32 years.
Yay!
So this is the PowerPoint. It is a state WAC that we have a cross connection program. And the WAC number you can see right there is 246-290-490. You basically have two types of cross connection. There's an actual cross connection and a potential, and that's where a lot of people get confused because potential, we have to protect our water system also. And this is all on the drinking water side that backflow has to go on. A couple of the big Irrigation systems in residential is one of the big cross connections in residential. To protect that, the backflow is called a double check valve assembly. And you're able to put those in a vault in the ground. Restaurants, and I just brought some of these up. Restaurants, for instance, beverage dispenser is a big one. Those need protection, which is called a RPBA, which is a reduced pressure backflow assembly. Beverage dispensers can be very hazardous. Chemicals within the CO2 and the copper tubing do not mix, and they can be very dangerous. So you have to have a backflow assembly on those. And there's a couple other ones there that also need protection. Again, the WAC number is on here. We do have a cross-connection policy and a cross-connection plan. The cross-connection policy, it's in the municipal section of 15.08.080. And also that comes along with this, there can be penalties. A violation can be $2,000 for the violation and $2,000 additional for each day thereafter. Here is what the state health department, and this isn't everything on this, table 9 is what the state health department calls table 9. There is a lot more that could go on this. I just put a few of them down. All car washes, we don't have any chemical plants or anything. We do have commercial laundry and dry cleaning. These all have to have what they call the RPBA, or reduced pressure backflow assembly. Even down here, the third one from the bottom, surveys, access denied or restricted. If I go into a place that needs a survey to be done, and for instance, there's a closet off to the side that has a door. If I'm denied going into that closet, the survey is done, and it's an automatic RPBA that is put on to our water system by the customer. It's property owners that put this assembly on. Here's a picture. The one on the left, upper left, is a double check valve assembly. The lower right one is the reduced pressure backflow assembly. And the difference between the two, and I don't know if this pointer points to it or not, but the RPBA right down in the middle of that, you see that round assembly there on the bottom. Just to the right of that, these spill out water. If it detects that there is a pressure difference in the line, it will start closing down the two check valves that are up on the upper top there, and it will start throwing out water. So the reduced pressure backflow assemblies have to be installed above ground in what they call a hot box. And there will be another picture here coming up. I believe it's the next slide that we can show you that. This is the slide from McDonald's. I took this because it's one of the newer business that's been put in town. What you see there on the left is a reduced pressure backflow assembly. And the box that it's in is called a hot box. We have to keep these assemblies from freezing, from being vandalized. And it's all property owners when this is installed. responsibility to do this, but it is part of the WAC that it says that they have to be kept from being flooded, vandalized, kept from freezing from the weather. The one in the green box there is a double check also from McDonald's, and that is for irrigation. And you can see there the difference. Like I said earlier, the double check can be put in a little vault, depending on how big it is, to be protected. So it's in ground. You don't need anything from up above it. So the main thing on that one, on the double check, you don't want it to have any flooding, water getting into the box. This slide here is also in a vault, and it's a little bigger. This is probably, I believe this is a 3-inch double check. This is actually what they call a double check detector, because just to the bottom of the screen there that you can see, there's a little meter right there. It's a water meter, and that's to detect how much water is going through that assembly. But this one here is in the vault, and it is protected for the fire protection within McDonald's. You have 2 types of cross connections hazards. You have a low cross connection hazard and a high cross connection hazard. The low hazard is what you put a double check valve assembly on. The high hazard, you have to have either an air gap or an RPBA. Doing a survey for businesses, what we're going to start doing is going through businesses. Every business in town needs to be done at least once a year. If there is, like I said, we will try to get hold of the property owner to ask them that a survey needs to be done. And if we can't get a hold of anybody, then we send out a 3-part letter stating that a survey will be done, and we are trying to contact them, and they would also have the information that they can contact me as a cross connection specialist.
And I think that's an important part, Ken, as far as you're out there willing to help, to answer questions. It's just not this big authority thing. It's very important because you're dealing with, this is a public water system. So, it's public health you're dealing with. So, but we're out there to help, to answer questions, to aid and assist in any way.
Yeah. And if we can get rid of a cross connection where the people don't need it, we will work with them trying to eliminate that cross connection also. Residential, it states in the WAC that they are to be done at least once every 5 years. I've been told or read an article that some people are putting these on, I guess it'd be the internet or on our website, the city website, and they could get and fill that questionnaire out on the website. Hopefully we can work that out. We don't have that right now, but hopefully that we could work that out where that could happen. And also, again, if we can't get a hold of the resident, and that is also the resident and the property owner, basically for both of them, a letter would go out telling them that a survey needs to be done. So here's a little message that I wrote out quite a few years ago. The city of Shelton is working hard to ensure that the water system is safe for everyone to use and drink. If the cross connection exists at your home or business, you may need a backflow assembly. Someone from our cross connection program can visit and assess your property in order to assist you with this important issue. A properly installed backflow assembly will protect you, your family, neighbors, friends, and the city water system. let's keep everybody safe. And that is down at the bottom is my phone number down at my desk down at the shop. So anybody have any questions? No questions?
Stop sharing.
Have we ever had a situation where the like a resident or a business didn't have double backflow prevention or backflow prevention, and it actually resulted in a loss in water pressure and contamination to our water supply in your time? Because you've only been here a couple of years. I'm not sure.
No, as far as I know, as long as I've been here, there has never been a backflow situation. We have gone into some businesses where they do need some backflow, and people aren't very happy when they can't get rid of the problem, and you tell them that they have to put a backflow assembly on, and that's been the problem in the past. So, but like I said, businesses at least once a year, all your high hazard businesses need to be done. And then residential all needs to be done at least once every 5 years. So
I'll just add, and I was just going to say, and I'm reasonably confident it's because of the diligence and the care that you put into this over the last 30 years plus. So, and thank you for your service to the city as well.
Thank you. Also, I forgot to mention within the, I have a program down at the shop on my computer. It's called XC2. It tracks all the testing of these backflow assemblies. It tracks all the surveys that will be done. And it will alert you when another survey on the property that needs to be done. And so it's all done on this backflow program that the city has paid for. And we just got that upgraded to the XC2, which is a better program that from what we've had before.
Ken,
Yes.
I have a question. I always get my little letter from you every year.
Yes.
Well, residential, you just said could be 5 years. Why are we doing it every year at my house?
No, that's the testing. The testing of these backflow assemblies have to be done every year.
I see. Okay.
But the survey only has to be done on residential once every 5 years.
Okay.
But yeah, the testing, we have right now between 650 to 700 backflow assemblies within the city of Shelton right now, and every one of them have to be tested every year.
Right.
And the people get a reminder if you're, and I can't remember what month yours are in, but just say it was due in April.
Mhm.
The first part of April, the letters go out on the 27th of, that would be the 27th of March. So you have it close to the April 1st.
Yeah.
And everybody, we test from March clear to October. So everybody that within those months get a letter at the start of the month. And then if they don't get that tested, following the next month, they get a second notice, and so on. They get a total up to 3 notices.
Yeah, I've got that second notice before from you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What happens if they don't respond?
If they don't respond within that third notice, within the WAC, it states that we can shut the water off. Again, there's fines in there. They can be charged a $2,000 per day fine. But most of the time, once we get the water off and we lock the meter off also along with that, it's within hours before everybody gets that fixed.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Anybody else?
I just want to say something about Ken. This is one of the last things Kenny wanted to implement in this program. When he started as a cross connection specialist, he hit the ground running and probably has more passion in this position than any other position I can think of down at the city. He really paid attention to detail, and there was a want to get this program started and actually implement it the right way, not just halfway. So, I mean, Kenny, you got almost 32 years in. You've been a great worker to work with and supervise. Anytime we call you, you come in, you're plowing snow if need be. Your information that you have banked in your head around a sewer or storm system or anything like that, I mean, you always have the answers. You always have. And it's been a pleasure to work with you. So we just want to give you this certificate of retirement as a gesture. So we appreciate it, Kenny. Everything you've done, 32 years, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when's your last day?
October 30th.
October 30th.
Last day.
Wow.
Good
Congratulations.
for you, Kenny.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys.
Welcome.
Recessing from our regular meeting and.
Mr.
one
Mayor,
more?
remember, yeah.
Oh.
Aaron B. Miller.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's in the, after the after the recess, isn't it?
No, this is the second part of the,
Oh.
this is the second presentation for Director B. Miller to talk to us about the bond refunding process.
All right. Mr. B. Miller, you're up.
Thank you. Let me just share my screen here. Hopefully everybody can see the PowerPoint. Is that? As part of the ordinance that the council approved in order for us to do the bond refunding, one of the requirements was for me to come back at the earliest reasonable time to inform the council on whether we were or were not able to stay within the parameters that were set in the ordinance. I won't spend a lot of time on this. We've been over this, but pre-bond sale, just some of the key considerations that we went through is that we wanted to issue the bonds prior to the November elections to hopefully achieve a higher savings due to lower rates. Historically, rates rise after the election. We began this process in early August when rates were at their all-time low, and from that period forward, they slowly crept up the scale. And as early as October, we were estimating about a $2.3 million savings over the life of the bonds. Some of the things that we did is we approved the use of bond insurance to help with rates and savings. So that went into the process. We also provided $239,000 in debt reserves for the Department of Ecology loans to buy down the refunding principal. And so those were by contract reserves that we had to have on our books to back the debt payments. And so we went ahead and added those and into the refunding to, again, buy down the principal amount. And then we've contracted with US Bank to make payoff payments on the refunded bonds. They know what they're doing. They're very professional about it, and it didn't cost us very much. And they'll make sure that the bond revenues get to the proper person, proper place at the proper time. So the bond sale itself, it took place on October 14th as scheduled, and it was highly successful. In total, we were about 3 times oversubscribed. And what that means is there were more people that wanted to buy our bonds than we had available. And as a result, it allowed our underwriters and financial advisors to make some alterations to maximize savings. And that's what we were able to do. We were able to increase rates on some of the bonds and some of the maturities that weren't selling well, and we were able to decrease rates on those that were oversubscribed. So all in all, very successful. Total savings is about $3,050,000. And on all of the bonds, we were able to move the longer maturities from 2052 to 2047. So we're able to shave a lot of time off the debt repayment as well. So that was another nice happening there. Officially, the bond process will close on the 28th. So the sale parameters report. We had to ensure that the aggregate principal amount of the refunded bonds cannot exceed $10 million. That's true. The refunded bonds par amount is $8,860,000. So that's the amount that will go against the LTGO Councilmatic bond that we've discussed prior. The final maturity of the bonds cannot extend beyond 2052. It's now at 2047, so we checked that box. The aggregate purchase price of the bonds cannot be less than 95% or greater than 135% of the aggregate stated principal. The aggregate purchase price is 106.7%, so we stayed within that parameter. The true interest cost of the bonds cannot exceed 4%. We are at 2.14% there, and the bonds are sold for a price that results in a net present value savings of at least 3%, and we were able to save 18.43%. So we were able to stay within all of our parameters. Again, just to kind of wrap up, very successful bond process and sale. Nice to have the A+ rating affirmed by Standard & Poor's. It's also with a stable outlook. The savings on the bond was higher than expected. That's always a nice surprise. And we were able to shave those 5 years off of our debt service. And just want to recognize again the team of Justin Monway. He's our financial advisor at Piper Sandler. Deanna Gregory is our bond counsel at Pacifica, and Caitlin Caldwell is our underwriter at KeyBank Capital Markets. And then I also want to just recognize all of the work that Terry did, our own Terry Schnitzer, in order to prepare the information for the official statement. So really successful process, and glad that we were able to go through it. So unless there's questions, I just wanted to provide that updated report.
That's really, really great, Aaron. I saw Joe nodding his head the whole time, so.
Yeah, congrats on that. And, just the continued professionalism and strong organization from the top down. It's great to see the things that are happening, and appreciate everyone's effort on the finance team.
Great, thank you. I'll pass that on.
Yeah, please do. All right, now we are recessing from our regular meeting to open a public hearing about considering the 2021 ad valorem and EMS levy. Mr. B. Miller, who's had a busy night, has details for us about an ordinance to consider the 2021 ad valorem and EMS levies.
Thank you, Mayor. The ordinance before you is the 2021 regular and EMS ad valorem taxes. Similar to the discussion at the SMPD meeting, this ordinance sets the levies, the regular levy and the EMS levy for collections in 2021 at 1%. State law, we're allowed to increase revenues from previous years by 1% or the implicit price deflator, whichever is lower. And it came in, the IPD came in at 0.6%. So it came in lower than our 1% that we have in this ordinance. By RCW, we can increase our property tax collections to the full 1% with the passage of a ordinance of substantial need. And that ordinance needs to be approved by a majority +1, so 5 council members in this case. I did want to just talk briefly about the ad valorem tax ordinance itself, similar to the conversation we had earlier. A couple of Scribner changes that we had to make, and these will be in the ordinance that comes back to you. Under section 2, the ordinance that we originally had to be collected in 2020, an increase of the EMS 2019 highest lawful levy for collections in 2020. So that should be, the first date should be 2021, is authorized to be collected in 2021, with an increase to the EMS 2020 highest lawful levy of 1% for collections in 2021. So we had some wrong years in there. So those will be updated. Again, the ordinance, this ordinance will increase our levy amount by the full 1%. Neither the EMS levy nor the regular levy have bank property tax capacity. It's at its highest amount now. So those aren't consideration. And one thing I did want to just add, we have not received the preliminary information from the Mason County Assessor's Office at this point in time. They are the ones that are, calculate the property tax, the assessed valuation. So we are using an estimated new construction amount as well as an estimated state assessment amount. Those are the amounts from 2020. So we've just carried those forward. If we get information that changes that, we'll try to pop those in before the next time that this comes up. But if worse comes to worse, this will get us to a full 1% on last year's, and then with new construction, it equals the amount that we have budgeted for 2021. So shouldn't be a problem from that side of things. So that's what I have, and happy to answer any questions on this.
One, all right. Has anyone signed up for public testimony, Donna?
No, we don't have anyone listed, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I'd like to ask for the first reading of ordinance number 1953-0820.
Ordinance number 1953-0820, an ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington, setting the amount of the annual ad valorem taxes in the City of Shelton for calendar year 2021.
All right. Do we have a motion? Anyone? We have no motion.
Is this a business item?
It is a business item.
Oh, I'm sorry, not a motion. Well, I asked
Yes,
for a motion.
it is. It's
Yeah.
a
It is a
motion.
motion.
We are going to start asking for motions to move them forward, particularly on ordinances, so that we can keep the record straight. And the motion should be, or a suggested motion should be, at the bottom of your briefing sheet.
Understood on the suggested. I must have missed the memo that we were doing the motions on business. So I move to forward the 2021 ad valorem tax ordinance to the November 17th council meeting for the scheduled second public hearing for further consideration and action, and to allow the public another opportunity to be heard on the ordinance under consideration.
Second.
All right. And we have a second.
Second.
Council members have any questions? We have a motion and a second to move forward the 2021 ad valorem tax ordinance to the November 17th council meeting for the scheduled second public hearing for further consideration and action to allow the public another opportunity to be heard on the ordinance under consideration. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, people. Okay, this public hearing is closed, and now we'll open another public hearing about the 2021 preliminary budget. We have another budget piece to consider. Aaron has the details.
Thank you again, Mayor. The ordinance before you is our 2021 budget ordinance. And it will set the annual appropriation for the city. The budget totals $31,676,380. As we discussed earlier at the budget meeting, We are going to add about $80,000 to that for the sewers technician in training position that we don't have in the preliminary budget that's before you right now. So this number will increase by about that $80,000. The budget also includes a general fund appropriation of $12,283,920. The appropriation for operating expenses at the fund level will lapse at the end of the year. By RCW, the ordinance also includes a continuing appropriation for all capital projects so that those can continue until they are completed and no legislative action will need to be taken for those costs to continue to be incurred throughout the coming years unless they overspend the budgeted amount. So the ordinance does have that in there as well. The budget for 2021 must be adopted by the end of this calendar year. And on the ordinance itself, I just wanted to demonstrate under section 2. This is the continuing appropriation that is required for our capital projects. And then below in exhibit A and B give you the expenditure levels by fund, as well as our estimated ending fund balance at the end of 2021 based on our estimates that we have right now. And the budget, the proposed budget packet is included by reference to this ordinance. So that's also included in the ordinance. So that's all I have, but happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right.
Aaron, we had a couple questions from council members. I think we addressed a couple of them in the work session, but I didn't know if you wanted to go over a few of them now.
I certainly can. One of the questions that we had was what types of charges are included in our goods and services. It's a revenue source that we have. And I believe this question was mostly directed toward the general fund. And those things that we get revenues for goods and services include the police contract, the SRO police contract that we used to have, hopefully will come back, parks and rec fees, alarm fees, all of those types of things where we provide a service for that, plan review, and significantly a lot of that revenue is from indirect costs and where other funds pay the general fund for the services of finance department, the HR department, the IT department, and all of that kind of stuff. So those are kind of the types of revenues that go into goods and services. Another question that we had is why don't we provide a 2021 tax, or why don't we provide a 3 to 5 year tax estimate moving out 3 to 5 years? And so with that, we just haven't gotten there yet, but the 10-year financial plan that we went over as part of the budget process, that will be included in the final budget. And so there will be, that piece will be added, and again, just as an estimate for what the future might bring for that. Had a question about the transfer out. What types of expenses are in transfers out? I think we might have touched on this one, but transfer outs are payments that leave one fund that go into another fund to be expended. So in the general fund, one of our transfer outs is to the street fund. We provide supplemental funding to the street fund. So the transfer out is, I think, budgeted at $570,000 in the general fund. That goes as revenue into the street fund, and then the street fund can use that revenue for their ongoing operations. And so those are the types of things. Debt service is often transferred from one fund into the bond debt fund in order to make those payments. So it's just a way of accounting for some of those transfers. There was a question on the capital plan, and it had a question of why was there a correlation between the state biennium process in 24 and 26 to the planned capital expenditures? And know that the planning in our CIP was just an assumption of when things are going to need to be done, how much they'll cost. So again, it's just kind of an estimate, but it's not tied particularly to the state budget process. Had a question of the cargo van, and I believe the question is where is it going to be? Where is it being funded from? Which is the Capital Resources Fund is going to make a transfer so the cargo van can be bought. So we're buying the cargo van out of the Capital Resources Fund. And then will it be placed on a replacement schedule, and when will the system be in place for that process? And the answer to that is yes, and we're hoping next year. We had wanted to change our EM&R fund into an ER&R and have that be citywide for vehicle and particular types of asset replacement. We did not get there with COVID and some of the other things that we were trying to get done this year. But that is something that we really want to do and to get that on there. So short answer to that is yes, we're working on it, and it should be, we're working on that, and every asset and vehicle and everything will be in that fund. And with a determined replacement schedule for that. Again, on the CIP, there was a question about what does undefined funding gap mean? I think we talked about that a little bit for projects that we aren't, we're making some guesstimates on some funding, but where we know that we have an amount that has not been filled yet, we put that down there, and just to provide information to the council that here's where we don't have enough resources to cover those costs. There's a question on the increase in professional services costs for information technology on page 46 of the budget, and it's an increase of $47,000, and it's really three things. We have $10,000 in there for server licenses, $26,000 for our contract with Right Systems, and $11,000 for the Outlook 365 payments that we have to make. That increase of the $47,000 is offset by the reduction of one FTE. So there's still an overall reduction in IT of, I think, about $45,000. But that's what that 47 is comprised of. There's a question on page 83 about the street cleaning, and is that due to the new sweeper? And no, what ended up, back in 2020, we only had about $1,800 budgeted for that activity. And when we were going through that with Public Works, they needed a higher budget there because they're going to spend more. This year, they're estimating to spend about $15,000. The budget was only $1,000. So what we did is we increased salary costs. We moved that into that function. There's an equal offset reduction in other functions of that part of the budget, but that's what's really driving that that increase there, is trying to get the budget to be more in line with what they believe they will actually spend there. And then we had a question about increased budgets for travel, especially in this time of COVID. What will happen if there are still travel restrictions and trainings are not being put on? We wanted to put a budget in there that would be able to handle the travel and training requirements that we have if things improve from a COVID perspective. If not, that budget won't get spent as it's presented, and it'll give, at least in some cases, an opportunity for more people to attend trainings because they're virtual now, and so there's not the cost of travel and in there as much. So we've put it in there so that we have the ability to do it should it improve. I think that's, unless I'm missing one, I believe those were the questions that we received, and I'm happy to speak more on any of those points or answer any other questions.
No? All right. Thank you, Aaron. All right. Has anyone signed up for public testimony, Donna?
No, they haven't, Mr. Mayor.
All right. At this point, I'll ask for the first reading of ordinance number 1954-0820.
Ordinance number 1954-0820, an ordinance of the City of Shelton, Washington, adopting the budget for the calendar year 2021.
Okay. Again, we need a motion to move this forward.
I move, and I hope I'm reading the right one because I've been going back and forth. I move to forward the 2021 annual budget to the November 17th council meeting for the scheduled second public hearing to allow the public another opportunity to be heard on the budget under consideration.
All right. A second.
Second.
All right.
Take it, Joe.
Any
Was it
All in a
Joe?
race to
Was it
second
James?
today.
Who was it? Who did that?
That was Joe.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions or comments for Aaron?
Just want to say thank you. Thanks for answering all my detailed questions. I really appreciate it. I figured if I studied it pretty hardcore, you know, you had to ask some or answer some questions, right?
All right, we have a
You had to
motion
pay
and a second.
taxes.
Oop, sorry. We have a motion and a second to move forward the 2021 annual budget to the November 17th council meeting for the scheduled second public hearing to allow the public another opportunity to be heard on the budget under consideration. All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. This public hearing is closed and we will resume the regular meeting. All right. Okay, now we have a resolution regarding APSCO sole source. Public Works Director Jay Harris will share the details.
Evening, Mayor, Council, Jay Harris, your Public Works Director. We're going to talk main wastewater treatment plant. So at the plant, which I don't know if all of you have had a tour of the main plant or the membrane plant, but if not, call me and I'll get you out and around to show you some of these facilities if you're interested. But at the main plant, we have oxidation ditches. What the oxidation ditch does is to break down mostly the solids component in the wastewater. With that, we use an aerobic process, aerobic bacteria. And so we have to put air into the water. There's 5 turbo blowers at the main plant. And we have fine bubble diffuser curtains in each of the 2 oxidation ditches. The 3 out of the 5 turbo blowers have failed. The actual blower still works, but there's a variable frequency drive that controls the motor, and this allows the fans to change speed to get the diffusers at the proper rate. So we have 3 out of the 5 that have failed, and the 4th one is showing signs of failure. And so we need to order some parts is what we're doing here and get these parts into these turbo blowers. The turbo blowers are proprietary. You can't just go to the hardware store and buy these parts. So that's the reason for the sole sourcing is we need to go through APSCO and to buy parts for the APG Neuros turbo blowers. And so that's what the sole source part of it. And then we're a little bit over the city manager's signing authority of $30,000 that you guys did some meetings ago. We're at $32,000 to fix these. We are taking this out of our equipment repair line item. And so this is something we need to do to keep our treatment processes going. In the future, I've talked to our finance director. Everything has a life, where there's an automobile or a turbo blower, and we're going to be working on some replacement schedules for some of our equipment at some of the factories, right? That we need to be on that. We shouldn't be down 3 blowers right now. That we should have just been rolling them out regularly. That's the type of program I'm used to. Same thing with the pumps at the plants too. That we need to invest in some newer pumps also. I'll be talking to you guys a little bit more about that at another time. But tonight we need to sole source this particular vendor and get the city manager authorized to sign for the procurement.
All right. Well, is there any public comment, Donna?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Jay?
I'm just glad to see that staff is continuing to be committed to asset management and looking forward at how to take care of what we have so that we can better serve our citizens. And I just very much appreciate the hard work of Jay and his team and finance and everyone involved to continue to move this forward.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think that there's an opportunity to further tell the story about what we do as a city. And I know that we're in COVID times right now, and I think we've got some students and whatnot that might be willing to make some films or record, what we do here in this plant. I don't think that you all get enough credit for what you operate there. So maybe there's an opportunity for us to film some of the stuff that we do and start putting videos out.
Yeah, I actually worked on some of those programs when I was at Newburgh. The wastewater end of the system is expensive, and we need to promote ourselves and get information out to people about exactly what does it do. You look at the discharge into the bay, and there's shellfish growers out there, and we have some of the highest water quality going out of our plant. And due to Brent Armstrong and his team out there, doing a great job keeping us in compliance, keeping new parts going at that plant. It's an aging plant is key, right? You got to maintain your automobiles and everything else. This is no different. Kudos to the guys down there. And then also to our planning team. Gray & Osborne is working on the wastewater master plan update right now. I'm in weekly phone calls with PhD engineers about treatment processes and piping conveyance and pumping and that sort of thing. And we have top-notch consultants and staff. So kudos to everybody.
The other part I wanted to mention, just to tag on to that, is our Spotlight Shelton events that we had planned and started, and now we're not all able to get together and talk about things like that. But those events are exactly the types of things that we want to use to let people know what we actually do here and invite them in to see the process. But when we can all get back together again and not stare at each other through a Zoom screen, that is definitely on the agenda.
Hey, Jay, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
How long have these 4 what do we call them, blowers, been out?
Yeah, so I asked the same question about a year and a half. The first one failed, and then the next one, then the third one was recent. And so they were backups. The plant is designed for larger capacities, obviously. And so the first 1 or 2 wasn't a big deal to the crew. But when they lost the third one and then the fourth one started getting a little glitchy, it was like, we need to do these now. And so in the future, though, we know how many hours are on these particular types of machines, and then regular maintenance, will define us just replacing parts that are worn at 80 or 90%. Another change I'm making at the plants is I'm talking to the union in the near future here about moving someone to a full-time mechanics position. Right now, all the operators are doing the mechanic work. I'm used to having at least one senior mechanic, and that's their sole duty, is to watch stuff like this and be repairing these things, and have an operations and maintenance plan. So I'll be working towards moving a operator into an actual mechanic position. And so we really have someone designated doing these type of things full time.
Yeah, are they pretty much shot then, I guess, or is the same thing happening to all of them?
Yeah, that's similar. And so it's a variable frequency drive. The motors are still good, and the turbo blowers, the fans and stuff are still good. It's just one of the drive components that ramps them up and down is what we need to replace. It's a wear item. It's pretty common. They use VFDs also on pumps. And what it does, it allows you to change the speed of the pump or the fan. That's the failed component here.
I see. So you can't rob Peter to pay Paul.
You cannot.
Okay. All right. Okay, staff recommends the council concur to move this item to the action agenda for the next November 3rd meeting. Good. All right. Next item on the business agenda is a resolution number 1179-1020 for Tyler Energov. Administrative Services Director Michelle Sutherland will give us more information.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Hopefully you can hear me just fine.
Just fine.
Wonderful. In order to address the strategic goals of the City Council, including accountable government, community life, and economic vitality, staff has reviewed various options to upgrade our technology services. The software services presented in the staff report discussed broadly will allow us to serve the development community more efficiently, track our assets in a cost-efficient manner, and prioritize maintenance activity, and allow city staff to quickly engage with Shelton citizens and businesses on a wide variety of concerns through an integrated platform. All of these capabilities contribute to city employees creating an environment where City Council strategic goals can be met. Because Tyler Technologies currently provides our financial management software exclusive of the budgeting function, and because the city has a strong preference for a single software solution rather than systems from multiple providers, Tyler Technologies is the appropriate vendor to ensure seamless integration of new software. Further, due to time constraints applied to the CARES Act funding from Washington State Department of Commerce, adequate time to appropriately consider other potential vendors is not available. What this will allow us to do is with the aging network infrastructure that we currently have, it will allow us to move to a cloud-based system, utilize new modules such as Energov for permitting, planning, doing online reviews and requests of that sort. It has code enforcement modules. Also, there's a citizen and My 311. It actually allows citizens in the community to use either a desktop or their cell phone. It's got a very nice setup on the phone. If they see a pothole in a road or if they see a stop sign down, they can immediately go on and report that through the My 311. The My Civic is actually a wonderful app. It allows anyone to look up the city of Shelton, and we can configure that however the council and staff would like to do that. It allows us to see different events in the area, different options for dining, different things of that sort, but also provides the citizens of Shelton with the ability to pay their utility bills online, to contact a member of their staff just by using the wheelhouse on their cell phone. Along with that, there's an asset management system. which will allow us to keep better track of assets, maintenance, things of that sort, do work orders, and also a utility billing module, again, to allow citizens to pay online. And that will also bring us into PCI compliance. So this expenditure with a total cost of $137,671 will be paid from the city's general fund. CARES Act funding dollars will be utilized for $67,000 of that amount. And staff requests the council concur to place resolution 1179-1020 on the November 3rd, 2020 action agenda. Did anyone have any questions?
I think I've asked this before. Is this leading us to B&O taxes online? Being able to do a B&O report online and pay those taxes online? I think I've asked Jeff, but I don't remember.
That is part of the modules.
I didn't hear a thing you said.
Yeah, Michelle, you locked up a little bit there, but yes, that is what we're heading toward. We want to be a fully online environment for those opportunities that people want to, even though we'll still be available here in person.
Yes, it will allow us to be able to do that.
Yeah.
The implementation schedule, we need to be wise about how we schedule the implementation. So
That's
It's an upgrade to Michelle's internet
Did
speed,
anyone-
part of this as well.
Yeah.
Need to get her some fiber hood.
Yeah. Now you're muted, Michelle.
So I'm having terrible difficulty with signal this evening.
Yeah.
Have to
there
go
you
to
go.
several different.
I think we got an answer to the question. Or are we good to go? Okay.
All right. Any public comment, Donna?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Anybody have any questions for Michelle? Okay, staff recommends the council concur to move this item forward to the action agenda for the November 3rd meeting. I think we're all good with that. All right. The last business item is a resolution number 1180-1020,
My fingers.
Right Systems Statement of Work and Retainer. Michelle will share the details. If her
I
mic
will.
is working.
Is it working?
Yes.
Wonderful. So again, with this resolution for Right Systems, it's addressing the strategic goals of the City Council for accountable government, community life, and economic vitality in upgrading our technology services. The Right Systems Statement of Work and Retainer provides the city with the opportunity and capability to migrate seamlessly to a cloud-based computing environment, negating the need to maintain and upgrade in-house services and associated components such as HVAC systems. The cloud-based services will also enable most city employees to work remotely and still provide services expected by the citizens and businesses of Shelton. All of these capabilities contribute to city employees, creating an environment where City Council Systems Incorporated currently provides information technology support to the city of Shelton. And because the city has a strong preference for a single support vendor rather than multiple vendors to ensure seamless communication, Right Systems is the appropriate vendor to ensure seamless integration on new software. Again, due to time constraints applied to the CARES Act funding from the state of Washington, adequate time to appropriately consider other potential vendors is not available. The expenditure has a total cost of $350,621, of which $76,551 will be CARES Act funded. looking at our aging infrastructure if you would like to, but we got many pieces of equipment purchased between 2008 and 2010 that are aged. We have one that is past its cycle of life, and other pieces of equipment and servers that are really coming to the end of their life cycle. So moving in this direction, we believe is an excellent move for the city. And staff requests that the council concur to place resolution 1180-1020 on the November 3rd action agenda.
All right, thank you, Michelle.
And did anyone have any questions?
Any questions for Michelle? Any public comment, Donna?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Staff recommends the council concur to move this item to the action agenda for the November 3rd meeting. All right.
Yep.
The first action item presented by Community Development Director Mark Ziegler has to do with the Civic Center Rotating Art Gallery recommendations. Mark, you're still here.
I'm here. Thank you, Mayor, council members. I'm pleased to bring you tonight the latest recommendation from the Shelton Arts Commission for placement in the Civic Center Rotating Art Gallery. The Arts Commission called for artists with a deadline of October 2nd. 8 artists submitted work for consideration. The Arts Commission met on October 20th to jury those pieces submitted. 7 artists were selected with a total of 21 pieces of art this time. You will see from the pictures that some of the art is 3-dimensional that will go in the cabinet at the top of the stairs, as well as the wall between municipal court and the police department. And with your approval, the art will be installed on November 3rd and in place through January 29th, 2021.
Okay. Any public comment?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, do we have a motion then? Let's see.
I move to approve the Shelton Art Commission recommendations for placement in the Civic Center Rotating Art Gallery.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second to approve the Shelton Arts Commission's recommendations for placement in the Civic Center Rotating Art Gallery. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The last item on the action agenda is LTAC grant recommendations. City Clerk Donna Nault will share the information with us.
Point of personal privilege. Before we enter into LTAC discussions, I'm going to recuse myself from this conversation because I do work at the chamber, which is one of the applicants for today. So Donna, if you would please text me on my city phone or give me a quick call when you're ready. I'll return to the room. In the meantime, I will be off and away.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Give me just a sec to find Deidre here on my phone. Okay. Mr. Mayor and council members, nothing has changed on this report from the last meeting. This is the LTAC grant recommendations. There are 7 different grants that are being offered, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? If not, well, is there any public comment?
There's no public comment, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I move to accept the LTAC grant applications recommendations as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Before I go any farther, Jeff, do you think I should recuse myself from this?
No, Mr. Mayor, I don't think so in this particular instance.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to accept the LTAC grant recommendations as presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? All opposed? No?
And comment again, if these events don't happen due to COVID related issues or any other issues, they're not expended.
That's
Correct.
correct.
Correct,
Okay.
correct. We have made a few changes this year, so.
And
Uh,
then
you-
I have a comment as well, and that is that if we are able to support as a city, outdoor events that, allow us to gather without, being a vector of, infections and whatnot for COVID, I'm full support in how we can, if there's a way for us to have Christmastown USA again, I think it's going to be real important for us to be able to celebrate that in the safest way possible.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think
Absolutely.
everybody's on the same page with that. I have my fingers crossed, and I hope that can happen.
all right.
Maybe we need to prep that parking lot a little bit sooner so it's flat.
No?
Okay, we'll move along to Mr. Jeff Knighton. Will you give us your city manager report?
Should we wait for Deidre?
We gotta get
That's fine.
Deidre back.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, Donna.
I sent her a message, so I'm sure
Okay.
she's coming. There she
There
is.
she is.
Y'all were quick.
Okay, Deidre, we're asking for Jeff's manager report.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members of council. Tonight, I really wanted to focus on our recruitment for our new police chief. And I'm very happy to report, last time we reported we had 16 applicants and we're interviewing 8. And I want to express my thanks and gratitude for the community panel that helped us select finalists from those 8. They spent 2 days here, most of 2 days here, including a couple of our council members, Councilmember Inesco and Councilmember McDowell, along with community partners from Sierra Pacific and from Peninsula Credit Union, along with our YMCA. So we're really thankful for that. Oh, and Chief Burdett from the city of Bremerton. I was very grateful that he came down to help us select these finalists. We have 3 finalists that I will be interviewing this week, along with a community panel or a community open house tomorrow starting at 4 o'clock. Each of the candidates will have half an hour to answer questions from the community, those that have signed up. We have several people that have signed up to ask questions, and happy to have that community participation. This is new to all of us. Typically, when you do a recruitment like this, you have an open house. It's much more public involvement. Although we are trying to get as much public involvement as we can in this process while we're dealing with COVID-19 and all the restrictions on gathering. So I would ask people that are interested to fill out our feedback form after they've watched the open house tomorrow. The community members that are invited have already been selected, but that will be available on our website and on Mason Web TV, I'm sure, to watch at your convenience. And please fill out the feedback form. We'd love to hear what you have to say as you go through these candidates. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. We did ask the candidates to produce a video for us with 3 questions and just introduce themselves to the community. I will hit play on the screen, and once all 3 have gone, we will be ready to move forward, and I think that'll conclude my briefing, but I'll definitely come back and say good night to y'all. Hold on just a second. That one there. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah.
All right, so.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carol Beeson. Thank you for this opportunity to introduce myself. I am coming to you from my hometown of Poway, California, which kind of looks.
And I've been having problems
Coming to you from
downloading
my
everything,
hometown
so I'll
of
try
Poway,
again.
California, which kind of looks like it could be in Washington. I've been a member of the San Diego Police Department now for 25 years. And my experience has made me a bit of a jack of all trades. I've worked 5 out of our 9 patrol divisions, and I have specialized investigative experience in narcotics, vice, sex crimes, child abuse, and internal affairs. I've also had the opportunity to work in community engagement assignments, to include a juvenile services team where we work closely with our community to reduce violence against juveniles in our community. I also worked on our homeless outreach team where we worked with our community partners and resource providers to help people end their homelessness permanently. I also served as the mental health liaison for the department, and I worked with hospitals and mental health facilities to help improve the way our officers interacted with people that were suffering from mental crisis. When I joined the police department back in 1995, I had an associate's degree in liberal arts. While working, I went back to school and I got my bachelor's degree in social science from Chapman University. And I recently completed my master's degree in law enforcement and public safety leadership from the University of San Diego. When I'm not doing my regular day job, I also teach report writing to the new recruits at the Regional Police Academy. I'm sure you're wondering why someone who lives in San Diego would want to move to Shelton. Earlier this year, my husband retired after serving the San Diego Police Department for 33 years. Next month, I will also be eligible to retire if I choose. My husband's ready to ride off into the sunset, but I still feel like I have more to contribute. So we saw the job announcement for Shelton and were immediately intrigued. My husband has always dreamed of retiring to an evergreen forest. So we immediately started looking at Google to figure out if Shelton would be the kind of place where we would want to live. And we both fell in love with your town. It looks like the kind of place where Hallmark Christmas movies would be filmed. I think I'd be a great fit for Shelton because not only do I have a great deal of varied law enforcement experience, but I grew up in a small town in Ohio. If I were to be selected to be your chief, I wouldn't be trying to make you into San Diego. Quite the contrary. I'd be committed to your vision, your mission, and your values. As you can see, I am very committed to the law enforcement agencies that I serve, as I've been with San Diego for the past 25 years. If I were to be selected to be the new chief at the Shelton Police Department, this would be my last department. I am so excited about coming to visit Shelton later on in the week, and I look forward to getting a chance to meet all of you in person when I get there. Thank you very much for your time.
Hi, my name is Tom Pan, and I'd like to spend the next few minutes introducing myself to you. I was born in Vietnam. We came to America in 1975 when I was 7 years old. 3 days later, they bombed Saigon. Talk about getting out of the war zone in the nick of time. I've been married for 29 years. My wife is an elementary school principal. We have 2 adult children. They are both in education as well. I started my law enforcement career in high school as a police cadet. Then I became a community service officer after graduating from high school. I attended the police academy in 1988-89. I became a police officer in 1990 with the Davis Police Department. That continued, my law enforcement career continued for 28 years. I worked at 3 different departments, Davis PD, Fairfield PD, and Vallejo PD. I ended up retiring at Davis PD in 2018 as a deputy police chief. During my law enforcement career, I had the opportunity to work in different assignments. I was a patrol and motor officer. I was on the SWAT team. I was a use of force instructor. I was a DARE officer. Then I promoted to sergeant. As a sergeant, I worked in patrol, investigation, and traffic. I supervised a countywide DUI task force while I was in traffic. I was also the field training coordinator and a crisis hostage team leader. Then I promoted to lieutenant. And as a lieutenant, I oversaw the patrol division. I became the crisis hostage negotiator commander and later became the assistant SWAT commander. I also work professional standards, which is involved internal affairs, the PIO, hiring, training, and recruiting. Then I promoted to deputy chief. As a deputy chief, I worked both sides of the house. I worked the operations side, which is patrol records, investigations, and communication center. And then as the administration side, I worked with professional standards, which is hire, training, recruiting, terminations, and evidence department, crime analysis, and volunteers. I have a bachelor's of science degree in operational studies from Cal State Long Beach. I'm also a graduate of Post Command College. My leadership style is, I believe in servant leadership. I believe that it's not about me, it's about serving others. It's about training others up and helping them grow in their career as police officers. I believe in being a resource to others. And I also believe in lead by example. Accountability is huge for me. I expect that of myself and others. Mentorship. I believe hugely in mentoring, being a mentor myself and mentoring others to becoming future leaders in police organizations. So why Shelton? I know Chief Moody. He and I used to work together at Fairfield PD back in the day. He is leaving a department in good shape. So it will be an easy transition for the new incoming chief. After he speaks highly of the city and the police department, I believe that there's room for improvement and opportunity for growth, and I'll explore those areas as a chief. I believe my 30 years of law enforcement career and working in different agencies, ranging from 60 to 125 plus officers, my different assignments, my promotions has prepared for this position. My biggest asset is my ability to relate with people and get along well with people of different ages and from different backgrounds. I believe it's a calling of mine to serve others. I believe I was created to serve other people and help other people whatever needs they have. The Shelton community is no different than other communities. You have the same needs and wants in your police department as other communities do. I believe that my policing style fits the needs of the Shelton Police Department. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Ron Schaub. I'm one of the finalists for your chief of police position. And I wanted to take a few minutes and just tell you a little bit more about my background, my experience, and my training, and why I would be a great fit for your department. I started with the Pierce County Sheriff's Department in 1994, and I've been with that agency for 26 years. I've spent a lot of time doing a variety of assignments, from patrol and investigations to schools, to field training work, to search and rescue, to Marine services. I've got a real breadth of experience in basic patrol functions and investigations. I promoted to sergeant in 2007, and in 2010, I was selected by the town of Steilacoom to be their next director of public safety. I was in charge of both the police department and the fire department. I served the town for 5 years and transitioned over to Pierce Transit and was their public safety chief for Pierce Transit Police for 3 years. I came back to the mothership, the sheriff's office, a little over 2 years ago, where I currently am manning one of the brand new positions in the department. It's called the programs lieutenant position. where I'm in charge of all the non-patrol programs for the department. I have everything from crime suppression, crime analysis, traffic, community liaison deputies, school resource officers, code enforcement, animal control, and our brand new program, which is the mental health co-responder program. I've also got a master's degree in public administration from the University of Washington, an undergraduate degree in history from Central Washington University, and I attended the 252nd session of the FBI National Academy back in Quantico, Virginia. Why is now a good time? Why is Shelton a good fit? I personally, I've been in a big department my entire career, except for my stints in Steilacoom and Pierce Transit. And the thing that I found that I enjoyed about the smaller departments is the sense of intimacy, the sense of connection to the community, and Shelton and this department fits that sense of intimacy and the connection to the community. Why now? For the first time in 20 years, Pierce County will have a brand new sheriff. I backed several candidates, but it is likely that if the most well-known of all the candidates is successful in his bid to become the next Pierce County sheriff, I've already been told I'm not going to be part of their command staff. And so I'm looking in the last 8 to 10 years of my career to be able to go out and do work that I really enjoyed. I found that being both a sergeant and a chief, the most fulfilling work I've ever had a chance to be engaged in, because I love building high performing teams. I love building a great work environment, and I love delivering, quality, excellent service to the public. And I see that opportunity in Shelton. I've had a chance to meet the town staff, had a chance to meet the city administrator and the chief. And I have to say that putting together a promotional recruitment process using virtual technologies, they did a fantastic job. And you, the citizenry, should be proud of the work that they did. And finally, I would say that is why am I a great fit? I've done the work of being a chief before. It's fun work, it's hard work, it's challenging work. I'm a known commodity. I've done that work for 8 years. My current assignment, I have 50 employees and about $7 million worth of budget. I have a proven track record of making the workplaces and the work environments that I've been involved in places that people love to work for me. I'm fair, and I would be honored to be your next chief of police.
All right. So,
all right, let's call this study session of October 6th, 2020 to order.
What is going on? No!
We're all going backwards.
Are we starting over?
You gotta love the YouTube auto forward.
Yes, the autoplay caught me. I didn't get it quite. But I wanted to let you all see those videos. They're all up on our website now, along with the synopsis of each of the candidates under the next police chief search. We will meet those folks in person tomorrow, via Zoom, and for the opportunity to ask questions, as I mentioned before. And I'm glad we had such an outstanding group of candidates, and we definitely had a great pool to choose from. So with these three, we'll narrow it down to one with the with the intent rather of announcing our new police chief first week in November. Happy to answer any questions if you have any.
No questions. But those three candidates are. I read through their packages and then the videos. I really liked the work that Ms. Rickard did, putting that all together on our website and comprehensively kind of putting things together for the public to be able to review. I think it's a really kind of innovative way of doing the community panel. And you're exactly right. Typically these things widely attended by the public and looked at, especially right now with everything going on in the world. This is a very high profile position within city government and in the community and in the, in the joint jurisdictional areas that Shelton Police Department supports. But there are three leaders there, and I'm impressed that they're interested in Shelton, and the professionalism, again, that we said it a bunch of times tonight, but that the leadership team in the city sets forth is creating an environment that people want to work there. You know, people want to work here. People want to relocate, and they want to move to Shelton. That's exactly what we want. And
Exactly.
I'm extremely proud of everything that's happened in the past couple of years under your leadership. So thank you very much for all that. And I'm excited to find a new chief.
Yeah, I think he has a tough choice to make.
Why we have so many panels.
So if we are done, our next meeting will be Tuesday, November 3rd, 2020 at 6 o'clock. First time we've done that in a while. So this
Yeah, I think
meeting is adjourned at 7:37.